Hi, welcome to Budget MTG Decks. All magic fun, all cards are under $1. I'm David.
I'm Stefan.
And today we're going to look at all the red cards in Shadows over Innistrad.
So this is the fourth one, and we're gonna look at the cards and evaluate them based on limited, so draft or sealed.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you're going to watch red, you've seen the other ones already as well, so you know the tier system. Tier 1, awesome. Tier 2, also good. Tier 3, fill her up. Tier 4, well, there's no tier 4, just put those cards aside. Well, let's dive right in because it's time for the common cards. Our first card is Rush of Adrenaline. For 1 red, we get an instant that states, target creature gets +2/+1 and trample until the end of turn. Now, we've already discussed before that combat tricks like these are kind of the worst kind of removal, but they can still be used as removal when you don't have anything better, if you don't have unconditional or semi-conditional removal. That is the reason why I would say it could still have a place as tier 3 in your deck.
So the next one, Dual Shot. It's also a red instant. Dual Shot deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures. So it can deal 1 damage to 1 creature or 1 damage to 2 creatures. And it's something I like because it can kill 1 power creatures, which we have a lot of. And it also deals the last blow. So that's why I want to put it in tier 3 if they don't have good removal.
Yeah, I also agree that it's tier 3. I don't like it as much as you do because I don't think people should be playing things with 1 toughness. But yeah, there are a lot of spirits, and definitely if people are spamming tokens, those things are usually 1 toughness, except for the zombies. Those you can definitely get rid of, and getting rid of 2 creatures with 1 card is always pretty good. Then we have Insolent Neonate. For 1 red, it is a 1/1 creature vampire. It has menace, which means it needs to be blocked by at least 2 creatures or more. And it also states that discard a card, sacrifice this guy, and then you get to draw a card. I don't really like this. 1/1s for 1. Sure, it has a bit of evasion, but even if it would be flying, I still wouldn't like it that much. And the fact that it replaces itself. Maybe later on in the game you might think, okay, I don't need it anymore later, so then I can replace it. But the problem is, when did you need it in the beginning?
Yeah, and you still need to discard a card, so
True.
You're not actually replacing it, you're placing another card and him.
It's even worse. It's even worse than that. Don't play it.
So, next one, Sanguinary Mage. It's 1 and a red. It's a vampire wizard. It's a 1/3 with prowess. I like this. It's a 1/3 body which can block, and it can get bigger with all the instants and sorceries and other things.
Yeah, I like it that because it's a 2-mana creature, it can block bears. So
Yeah.
it's and people may not even dare to attack with 2 or more bears into this, because if you do have some kind of instance or sorcery, then it'll become a 2/4, and then you can just kill one of them. So that's obviously a risk that they might not want to take. Then we have Senseless Rage. For 2 mana, we get an enchantment aura that states that we enchant a creature, and then that creature gets +2/+2. It also has Madness for 2 mana. Now, of course, we already saw that the Madness cost is the same, so it's kind of handy that you can use this as a when you have a discard outlet to cast it instant speed. So it would kind of become an instant speed or an aura that has flash. You could kind of see it like that. But still, giving a creature +2/+2 as an enchantment, I don't really like it very much. You should probably put it aside anyway.
Yeah, it's still at the end a bit 2-for-1 in yourself.
Exactly, if they remove it, yeah.
Exactly. So next one, Magmatic Chasm. It's 1 and a red, sorcery, creatures without flying can't block this turn. I don't really like this. It's good if you have a lot of ground creatures to get the last bit of life, but most of the time it won't do enough.
No, exactly.
So
what if you have, for example, a situation where you don't have the board presence that is required, and then you really have a problem because this is not going to change that situation.
Exactly. So I will put it aside.
Yeah, agreed. Then we have a Tormenting Voice for 2 mana. It's a sorcery. It says, as an additional cost to cast Tormenting Voice, discard a card, then you draw 2 cards. Now this is actually, I think, okay. Why? Because for 2 mana you're getting 2 cards, and that card that you're discarding you might not have needed, plus we actually have Madness in this set, which means you could probably still cast it anyway if you have the situation. Then you are actually getting a really, really good deal.
Exactly. I really like this. It was already good without all the Madness, and now it's even better.
So it's an auto include if you're in red.
Exactly.
Tier 2.
So tier 2. So the next one, Vessel of Volatility. It's 1 and a red enchantment. For 1 and a red, you can sacrifice it and add 4 red to your mana pool. I don't really like this that much because you have to put a card down and then wait a turn to get 2 extra mana, which is fun if you want to get big things, but you'll lose a card. So
yeah. You're losing turns, you're not doing anything, and on top of that, if you do power into something bigger, if they do remove that, you're also 2-for-1ing yourself, because you have to play this card as well to be able to cast that guy. So just put that card aside. Then, this is a great card. Ember Eye Wolf. For 2 mana, we get a 1/2 wolf. It has haste, and for 2 mana, we get to give it +2/+0 until the end of the turn. So it has kind of fire breathing. What's really awesome about this card is that it comes in and it can attack right away. So at the beginning of the game, it does work. Mid-game, you can pump it. It also does work. And then late game, you can just, as a surprise, attack with something that people weren't expecting, and then you can make it deal tons and tons of damage, or it will kill anything that decides to block it. So it always has a role in every state of the game.
So a tier 2?
I guess that would be tier 2, wouldn't it?
So the next one, Blood Mad Vampire. 2 and a red, a Vampire Berserker. He's 4/1, and whenever Blood Mad Vampire deals combat damage to a player, put a 1+1/+1 counter on it. And it has Madness for 1 and a red. So it's a 4/1 for 3, which isn't that great. I mean, 1 toughness, but if it gets through, it just gets bigger and bigger. And that's why I like it. But it's not better than a tier 3.
No, I actually don't really like it, mostly because of what I just mentioned before about not liking to play 1 toughness creatures. It will die to anything. You have to hope that by the time it's turn 4, because that's when it's going to be attacking, that by turn 4 your opponent has nothing, not even a 1/1 on the battlefield, so that it can start growing. And you know what? I don't think a smart player is going to be is not going to have at least a bear by then.
Exactly. But I also like, because it has 4 power, so it can block anything.
That's true. And die doing it.
Of course, but it's still trading.
Yeah, it is. It would be trading, absolutely. So tier 3, agreed. Yeah. Next card is Fiery Temper for 3 mana, of which 2 have to be red. We have an instant that deals 3 damage to target creature or player and has a madness cost of 1 red. Now this is really cool because, well, 3 mana may seem like it's a bit expensive to deal 3 damage, but you know what? For 3 mana, it pretty much kills anything, because a lot of stuff is 3 toughness or less, especially at the beginning of the game. And if you can do it, discard a card, and then you pay the madness cost, then you have a lightning bolt, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, everyone likes lightning bolts.
Everybody does, yes. That's a great deal.
So the next one,
tier 2.
Yeah, tier 2. So the next one, Uncaged Fury. 2 and a red, instant. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains double strike until end of turn. I really like this cantrip more than the other ones because of the double strike. But still, it's a combat trick, so tier 3.
Yeah, exactly. The double strike could, I mean, if you put it on a flyer or one, let's say on a creature that has a lot of power and they don't block it, and then you do this as a surprise, and you double that damage, but actually still gets first +1/+1. I think it's going to be huge, and I think 3 mana to pay for it is just on line, which I think, hey, this is still a pretty good deal.
Yeah, right? Those things are always just finishers.
Yeah. Then the next card is Convicted Killer. For 3 mana, we get a 2/2 human werewolf, and it states that at the beginning of each upkeep, so yours or your opponent's, if no spells were cast last turn, then you get to transform Convicted Killer. So it would transform into Branded Howler. It is a 4/4 werewolf, and at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells this turn, last turn, transform Branded Howler. So it becomes the little Convicted Killer again. I think this is pretty cool. I mean, for 3, you get a 2/2, which I'm not too excited about. But yeah, I mean, it's still just a bear, so it will just do work. And should it be that on a turn you don't need to play anything, then in your opponent's turn it will transform into a 4/4, and as it's limited, the chances are quite slim that later on in the game they will be able to cast 2 things in 1 turn. Then you've got a 4/4, which I think in this set is actually pretty big.
A lot of the big things we saw are 4/4, so
yeah,
4/4 for 2 mana.
So I wouldn't bend over backwards for this card, but if you need a 3 slot, then why not have a Convicted Killer fill that?
Exactly. Not sure if you want that, a Convicted Killer in your deck, but sure.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be killing other people, then a Convicted Killer might be just the right man for the job.
That's true. So the next one, Hallpack Wolf. 2 and a red, It's a wolf, it's a 3/3, but it cannot block unless you have another wolf or werewolf. So it's a 3/3 for 3, which is just really good, and you don't need it to block anyways, just attack.
Exactly. And we've actually seen red has a lot of wolves, green has a lot of wolves, so you wouldn't even have a problem with that. But yeah, as you said already, if you got a 3/3 for 3, you're putting the pressure on, you're going to be attacking with this guy, so it actually has no downside in that situation. I would auto include it if I was in red. So it's definitely a tier 2. Then we have Structural Distortion. For 4 mana, we get a sorcery, and we get to exile target artifact or land, and then it deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller. I don't really like these kind of effects that much. I mean, we saw that a lot of the artifacts, they're going to have a lot of, our opponents will have a lot of artifacts in the form of clues. That's possible. We don't really want to pay 4 mana to exile those. And the equipment is not too exciting either, so I don't really see any good targets with respect to artifacts. Lands, sure, you could do that, but paying 4 mana to get rid of a land, and especially later on, it will do absolutely nothing because people will be mana flooded. Definitely do not put this in your deck, in your limited pool, so I would say just put it aside.
So the next one, Hulking Devil. 3 and a red, it's a 5/2 Devil, and it's just a vanilla. And it's something that's just really big if you really need something big at the 4 slot. But it's still 2 power, so it can be blocked by a bear and die. So I would put it at tier 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't like it when stuff can get killed by bears like that. But he's pretty big though.
Yeah,
it does a lot of damage. You're right. Then we have Pyre Hound for 4 mana. It's a 2/3 elemental hound with trample. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Pyre Hound. So this is a 2/3 trampler for 4. I mean, the body, I would rather have it for 3 mana, but okay, sure, you have to get the trample, so you gotta pay 4 mana for it. And I don't see that many times that you'll be casting instant sorceries and that it will be growing. But, of course, it is a nice bonus to have. I like it in tier 3, but I know Stefan has argued with me for hours. This is definitely a tier 2 card, so I'm going to yield to his passion. And we're putting this as a tier 2 card. If you're in red, you gotta put it in. And let us know if those instants and sorceries come across often enough to make this trampler worth it.
Now you make it sound like it's my fault.
It's always your fault. I edit the video so that I can just make it your fault.
But yeah, I actually really like it because just playing an instant or sorcery, you'll just make it bigger forever.
Yeah, that's true.
So the next one, Full Down Duelist. 3 in a red, it's a vampire warrior, a 3/2 with haste. And whenever Full-Down Duelist comes into play, target creature can't block this turn. So if it has only 1 creature, the opponent has 1 creature, it won't block, so it will come through. And with a board stalls or something, it just really messes up with combat.
With the situation, yeah. Because also, and I think that's the factor that it's a 3/2 body, I think is pretty decent. And the fact that it's haste, it's actually as if it would have come in a turn earlier, but it also has a surprise factor. I'm pretty happy about this as a filler. So that's just a tier 3 right there. Then we have Gatstaff Arsonists for 5 mana. It's a 5/4, now we're talking. Human Werewolf. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform Gatstaff Arsonist. Okay, so just already by itself for 5 mana, we got a 5/4. I'm playing this is fine. Let's see what it transforms into. It transforms into Gatstaff Ravengers, and that becomes a 6/5 werewolf with menace. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, and of course, if somebody played 2 spells, then it does transform back next turn. But let's just have a look at that. For 5 mana, we get a 6/5 menace, and you don't need to do very much to have it transform because you can just not play something your turn, and the next turn it will transform. Nothing anybody can do about that. And this card will win you the game. I think, probably, maybe even by itself. Definitely, maybe it's not strong enough to be tier 1, but I would definitely say tier 2 auto-included if you're in red, and it definitely pushes me into red so close, especially considering it's a common.
Exactly, it's a 5/4, it's already good enough, and then a 6/5 with menace. Just no card can actually deal with that well.
No, I mean we've seen the black card, which is a 7/7 with menace, and you gotta pay for through the nose for that. You gotta pay lots of mana. You gotta sacrifice your things every time it attacks. Not these guys. They come in and they're just gonna start doing work.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So next one, Reduce to Ashes. It's a sorcery for 5 mana, 4 on a red, And reduce it to 5 damage to target creature, and if the creature will die this turn, exile it instead. So it's just really removal, so I would just put it in tier 2 because 5 damage is a lot.
Yeah, it will get rid of anything you need pretty much.
Exactly.
The exiling, yeah, that's
Not too relevant.
There are some creatures which may be indestructible at some point, but that doesn't really matter. You may think, oh, but then they don't get their delirium. Okay, sure. The fact is, it's 5 points of damage, so it'll kill what's in your way.
But at 5 mana, probably a creature will be in graveyard anyways.
True. Not even relevant. But definitely tier 2, put it in if you're in red. Those are the commons. Let's have a look at the uncommons. Our first card is Skin Invasion for 1 red. It's an enchantment aura that when we enchant a creature, that creature has to attack each combat if able. On top of that, it has a cool special ability that states that whenever enchanted creature dies, return Skin Invasion to the battlefield transformed under your control. So what you're going to do, an enchanted creature, small creature or utility creature, something they don't want to attack with, something they don't want to die, you're going to enchant it with this. They're going to attack, they have to attack into you, you're going to block it, you're going to kill it, you're going to do something, that thing's going to die. Then this aura is going to go into your graveyard and then return to the battlefield as Skin Shedder. It is a 3/4 insect horror, vanilla, but still you only paid 1 mana, you made your opponent have to attack and probably lose their valuable creature, and now you have a 3/4 on top of that. I mean, that is really, really cool. And the flavor is, of course, that something's growing inside your back and it pops out a la Aliens, which is even better. I really like it and I'd play it no matter what. I probably still need to be in red though, so I would say tier 2.
Yeah, and don't forget, you can also enchant your own things. So when you attack, they don't want to block it.
What are you, some kind of government agent infecting your own people? That's terrible, man. No, you could do that too.
Exactly.
That's actually a great alternative. That's a great
when
alternative.
making a soldiers, when they die, they just attack again.
Yeah, that's...
You make it sound like I'm a horrible person.
Well, yeah. Let's go into that in another video, which we'll be following right after this.
So the next one, Lightning Axe. A red instant. As additional cost to cast Lightning Axe, discard a card or pay 5 mana. And it deals 5 damage to target creature. I really like this card, especially with the madness. And 5 mana, 5 damage for 2 cards. I don't think it's too bad if you really need it.
Well, what I compare it kind of to the other removal spell that was for 5 mana, deal 5 points of damage. Sorcery speed, I see this as 6 points of damage. Instant speed, I think that's acceptable as well. The instant speed really makes me think, okay, I'm willing to pay an extra mana for that. And sure, if you're desperate and push comes to shove, something's about to kill you, then, you know, just discard that extra card even if you don't have the madness. And then it is instant speed removal.
Exactly, so right. A tier 2 for me.
Definitely. Then we have a Village Messenger for 1 mana. It's a 1/1 human werewolf with haste. And it says at the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, we get to transform it. Okay, so it's a 1/1 for 1. That's not exciting. Nobody wants that.
But haste.
Okay, fine. With haste. I'm still not very good.
No.
Then we're going to see what it transforms into, and that is Moonrise Intruder. It turns into a werewolf, a 2/2 with menace. Okay, so now it's got evasion. That's pretty cool. And again, if 2 or more spells were cast last turn, then it transforms back. I'm not terribly excited about this, mostly because if I wanted a 2/2, then I'd probably just try and get that 2/2 to begin with, and I don't really want to be jumping through many hoops. And a 1/1 haste, it might do 1 point of damage at the beginning, but afterwards it won't anymore. I'm also not too excited about this. I would say tier 3 because it could have a role as an alternative to just a tier 2 slot. But let's say low tier 3.
Yeah, I only like this in a aggressive deck because you just want to do damage anyways. And when you have this on turn 1, it's just insane.
Yeah, I'm sure that it has, if you have the right puzzle pieces, I'm sure that this could be devastating so early on in the game, being able to attack on turn, turn 2 with a 2/2 with menace. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's going to do a lot of damage. But the question is, what's going to happen when you draw this turn 4 or turn 5?
Exactly. So that's why tier 3. So the next one, Gibbering Fiend. It's 1 on a red, it's a devil, a 2/1, and when he enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. And with Delirium, it also deals 1 damage to each opponent in their upkeep. So I don't really like it because it's a 1 toughness and it's 1 damage.
Yeah.
So late game it deals 1 damage each turn, but is it enough?
Yeah, I don't think so either. And to tell you the truth, if it would come in and it would deal 1 point of damage to target creature, that'd be a different story. But just that 1 point of damage to the opponent, I would say just go for a bear. In that case, just put this card aside.
Exactly. Because with the Accursed Witch, you have 4 power, and then it actually gains you 1 life.
That's why I really gonna be comparing Accursed Witch to this guy? That's an insult.
It's kind of the same thing because it deals 1 damage every turn.
Yeah, that's much better card than this. Anyway, then we're gonna go to Kessig Forge Master. For 2 mana, we got a 2/1. So this is the same power and toughness as the other guy. Human Shaman Werewolf. How many types are they gonna try and squeeze into that?
How many they can fit? Because that's when they stop.
That probably at this point. It was also a I don't know. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. Whenever Kessig Forge Master blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, it deals 1 damage to that creature. Hey, that's pretty good, right? For 2/1, you're gonna attack, and then it's gonna first deal that damage before combat damage gets resolved. So you can kill a 1 toughness creature before it even deals damage. Then at the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells are cast, so the same werewolf mechanic, it will transform into Flameheart Werewolf. Now that's a 3/2. And whenever this guy blocks or gets blocked, it deals 2 damage to that creature. So it gets upgraded a little bit. Actually, this is super strong because for 2 mana you can have relatively easily a 3/2. And on top of that, what are you going to be able to use to block this guy? Because all bears just die instantaneously, and anything of 5 toughness will also die.
Exactly. That's why I really, really like this one.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I guess it's worth all the names that it has. All the creature types.
That's why they have so many types, because it's a good card.
Because it does so much. That's how it is. That's how we measure these things. So that's definitely, if you're in red, auto included, definitely put it in. A couple of these kind of cards definitely pushes me into red as well. So I'd say tier 2.
Yeah. So the next one, Ravenous Bloodseeker. 1 red, 1 and a red, Vampire Berserker, 1/3, and if you discard a card, it gets +2 and -2 until end of turn. So you can discard a card and it grows, but you can only do it once. I don't really like it that much because you have to discard the whole time. So I want to put it in tier 3.
Yeah, also because if you do, it might trade with what it's blocking or what is blocking it. But the problem is it'll also have 1 toughness, so it's also gonna die. And you also have to get rid of a card. So you also 2 for 1-ing yourself.
Exactly.
In that situation, just no, I don't know. I'd probably put it aside, but I guess it's a low tier 3 for me.
It's still 1/3, so
still 1/3. Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. 1/3 just without that ability, then you're still okay as a filler. Then we go to Geist Blast. For 3 mana, it's an instant that states that it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Okay, now for 3 mana, dealing 2 points of damage is not the best deal we've seen in Magic history, but we've also already seen that the removal is quite bad in this set, so I guess 2 points of damage will still get rid of a lot of stuff. It also has an additional ability. For 2 and a blue, so for 3 mana, we get to exile this card from our graveyard and then copy target instance or sorcery spell you control, and we may choose new targets for the copy. That's actually really versatile because it doesn't just do 2 damage twice, which would have also been cool, but now we get to use maybe another stronger ability of an instance or sorcery that we're casting, pay 3 mana and we get that double. I think that's pretty cool actually.
Yeah, I really like it because it just does something else and most of the cards just do the same.
Yeah, and for 3 mana, what do you think price-wise?
I think it's a bit too expensive, but you do more stuff with it, so I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, I would definitely see if I could get a little bit more instants and sorceries in the deck if I have this card, but it's tier 3 as a filler, not too bad.
Exactly, it's still removal. So the next one, Stensia Masquerade. It's 2 and a red, enchantment, attacking creatures you control have first strike, and whenever a vampire you control deals damage, it gets a +1/+1 counter on it. It's combat damage to a player. So, and it also has Madness, which is the same cost, 2 and a red. I don't really like this because you really need vampires, and attacking first strike isn't that great. Blocking is of course better, so I would put it in tier 3 because it has a place in a vampire deck.
Yeah, true, but other than that you're not too happy because it can still multiple block and then you can still get rid of your stuff. First strike won't always save you in the attack. Then we go on to Ulrich Kindred. For 3 mana, we get a 3/2 wolf, so we already established that for 3 mana, 3/2 bodies, fine. This one has trample. Hey, that's pretty good. Pretty happy with that. And if you're in green, you can pay 3 and a green, so for 4 mana, target attacking wolf or werewolf gains indestructible until the end of turn. So of course, Ulrich's Kindred is also a wolf, so this guy, you can make it a 3/2 trampler with indestructible every single turn should you want to. Hey, that's going to be pretty annoying because you can't really block it with small guys because it still has the trample, and you're going to have to throw something in front of it that is much bigger, and you still won't kill it.
Exactly, and with all the other werewolves in the set that are really big,
yeah,
it's just insane.
Yeah, so then that would make it, if you are in red and green, then it is tier 2, then it's auto include. But to tell you the truth, I think if I was just in red and some other color, I would still see it as a filler card.
Yeah. So the next one, Breakneck Rider. 1 and a 2 red. It's a human scout werewolf, so it must be good.
Must be good. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
It's a 3/3. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast, you can flip it, and then it becomes Neckbreaker. It's a werewolf, a 4/3 that says attacking creatures you control get +1 and +0 and have trample. And of course, with the 2 cards played, it flips again. So I really like this because it's just pretty aggressive. It's a 3/3 for 3, which is okay, and then it's a 4/3 that just pumps everything when you attack it.
It's not just okay. It's not just okay. This card is really, really strong.
Yeah.
We already established 3/3 for 3. That's awesome. The fact that this guy then later on can attack as a 5/3 with trample and also boost the rest of your team. You know, maybe you're playing red-white, you got a bunch of tokens, you got some spirits. This is gonna do tons and tons of damage, and that trample is definitely gonna get through. I really love it. Tier 2, it's auto include for me if I'm even remotely in red.
Exactly. But you have to watch out with the double red.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good call, actually. A good point. Why do you always have to ruin everything? I was so excited.
Because that's why I'm here.
Oh, that's true. That's how we help each other. We keep each other down so we may rise to new heights. All right, next card. Dance with Devils. That's about us. So that's 4 mana and instant. We put 2 1/1 red devil creature tokens onto the battlefield, and each of those can deal 1 point of damage to target creature or player when they die. Now, it's kind of like removal, because when somebody attacks into you, you can put down those 2 guys, you can block, and then deal another 2 points. 2 points of damage. That's 4 damage total. However, it's really conditional because it depends on them attacking you with the thing that you want to kill,
and can block.
Yeah, and can block. So well, you could also use it to have 2 1/1 guys that you can attack with. But all in all, I'm not too excited about this. I see it as kind of a filler for 4 mana, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, same here. I always have to kill something, but they don't attack with it.
Yeah.
They just do annoying stuff with it.
That's what smart people do. They don't attack you with that thing you want to kill. Yeah. Why do they do that?
So that's why I don't like it, because everything you want to kill, they don't attack with.
Yeah. So I would say it's tier 3, but it's a low tier 3. Maybe even put it aside.
So the next one, Malevolent Whispers. 3 and a red, sorcery, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains +2, +0 and gains haste until end of turn. And that's madness for 3 and a red. So taking over other people's bombs is pretty good, and then giving it +2, +0 is really, really good.
Yeah.
Just not expecting it and attack them.
It's not really good. It's great. This card is so good.
You like those things more
than I do.
I like this
so much, especially because in limited you're winning because you're playing that big fat bomb, and then you're gonna use it against them. That's adding insult to injury. You're doing more damage than them, so you're winning in the race in that sense as well. What if you have a sacrifice outlet, so you could take it over and then you can sack their thing? It's a thing of beauty.
Talking about Christmas.
It's true, it's true. But I'm always halfway there anyway. Malevolent Whispers would be tier 2 for me.
Yeah.
Then we have Spiteful Motives for 4 mana. It's an aura. This one has flash. We can cast it instant speed. And then enchanted creature gets +3, +0 and has first strike. Now, that is pretty interesting. I like putting first strike instant speed because that becomes a combat trick and this one sticks around. Even if you just put it on a 1/1, then it still does 4 damage first strike, which, as we already established, will pretty much kill anything. So yeah, I think I'm actually pretty happy with this card as a filler. So I would put it in as tier 3. Although keeping 4 mana open as a combat trick is going to be tough, it may be well worth it.
Yeah, I really like this one, but the 4 mana is just too expensive for me. Also, I think it would be a tier 2 for me.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, it's 4 mana, so. Next one, also 4 mana, Mad Forfeit, 3 in a red, Human Shaman, a 2/2 with haste that taps to discard a card, and then you draw a card.
This one should say Human Shaman Berserker, because it's that good.
Yeah, looting in limited is so good. You can just filter your whole deck with it. So, tier 2 for me.
Yeah, exactly. Also because it has haste, so it's as if it would have been 3 mana. So that is really sick. And you know what? If they don't have anything, you can also just attack with it. Why not? Awesome. Tier 2 for me as well. Auto include. Then we have Inner Struggle. For 4 mana, you get an instant that states target creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. This is really good removal, actually. This is a very strong removal spell. Instant speed. Most creatures will die to this. And for 4 mana, well, you know, that's the price we gotta pay. But if we're in red, I auto include it.
Yeah. So next one, Dissension in the ranks. 3 and 2 red, instant. Target blocking creature fights another target blocking creature. It's 5 mana, and I don't really like it because you have 2 blocking creatures. So that's why I want to put it aside.
Yeah, and it's not even it's not something that you can manipulate by saying, okay, it's going to be my creatures that are blocked, because you want your opponent's creatures to be blocking. So you have to find a scenario where they're going to block with 2 creatures. I just don't see it happening very often. And then those 2 creatures have to be able to kill each other. What if it's a 1/3 against a 1/3, and then you're still not doing anything for 5 mana? So I think this will be in your hand most of the time. Just put it aside. Then we have Incorrigible Youths. For 5 mana, we have a 4/3 vampire with haste. All right. And it has Madness for 3. Now, 3, I like that it has 3 toughness, because that means that it puts it out of the range of bears, and 4 power is quite a lot, plus it has a good element of surprise with the haste. I would put it in as tier 3 because it doesn't automatically put me into red, and it's not an auto include either. But you know what, if I've got 5 mana slot, and I've got to choose between Dissension in the ranks or Incorrigible Youth, then Incorrigible Youth is definitely the one who's going to go in there. What do you think?
I like it more than you do.
Maybe you do, but you have no more time to discuss it, which go on to the next card.
So that was for the uncommons, actually.
Okay, well, let's move on to the rares.
So the first rare is Burn From Within. It's X and a red, sorcery. Burn From Within deals X damage to target creature or player. If a creature deals damage this way, it loses indestructible until end of turn. And if the creature dies this turn, exile it instead. So a lot of text, but I like it because you can scale it. Pump more mana in it to remove stuff. So for me it's the tier 2. The indestructible clause isn't really that relevant now.
No.
But it's still really flavorful.
Yeah, plus I really like it because at the end of the game, when your opponent still has 3 or 4 life and you just can't get through with your creatures anymore, you say, well, you know what, I'm just going to pump all my mana into this guy and then you're dead anyway. So that could definitely still give you a good option to win the game. Then we go on to Falconwrath Gorger. For 1 mana, we get a 2/1 Vampire Berserker. It states that each vampire creature you own that isn't on the battlefield has Madness, and the Madness cost is equal to its regular mana cost. Now, I'm sure that if you're in Constructed and you're building a red-black vampire deck, that's awesome. You put 4 of these in there, you aggress, you're doing lots of damage, then you got your Madness triggers. You can do lots of fun shenanigans, but I think in Limited, the 2/1 is just not going to do enough. It could take one of the slots, your 2 mana slots for a bear, so you can attack 1 more time earlier on, but I wouldn't expect to have enough vampires and also enough Madness to be able to have this card pull its weight. So I'd say tier 3, just to fill in.
So next one, Scourge Wolf. 2 red, it's a Wolf Horror, it's a 2/2 with first strike. And if you have Delirium, it gets double strike. I really like this card. A 2/2 first strike for 2 mana, it's good enough. And then it gets double strike. So for me, a tier 2, but you have to watch out with the double red.
Yeah, always watch out for that double red. That always brings it back down. But yeah, it's a great card, absolutely. Then we go to Avacyn's Judgment. For 2 mana, it's a sorcery. It states that it deals 2 damage divided as you choose amongst any number of target creatures and or players. And if the Madness was paid, and the Madness is X and a red, Then it deals X damage divided as you choose. Again, to creatures or players. So this is kind of the same. If you're playing the madness cost, you can put a lot of mana into it and divide that, so you can kill a lot of creatures, which is awesome. But just even if you don't have that madness, for 2 mana, being able to deal 2 damage over 1 or 2 creatures or even players, I think that's a pretty good deal. It's still removal. It's still useful at the beginning of the game. Still useful at the end of the game. I'd say tier 2. Just auto-include it if you're in red.
Yeah. So the next one, Harness the Storm.
Save the best one for you.
Thank
Save
you.
the best one.
I like this card, but in limited. So for 2 and a red, enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery from your hand, you may cast target card with the same name as the spell from your graveyard. So you can cast things from your graveyard with the same name when you cast from your hand.
Yeah.
It is great.
You're being sarcastic again.
No, it is great. It's you don't have it in limited.
Oh, you're being you're talking about constructed. Yeah, no, constructed it is awesome. In limited, don't touch it. Don't try and build around it because it's gonna make you sad. So just put it aside. Then we have Sin Prodder for 3 mana. We get a 3/2 Devil. Alrighty, the body's pretty good for a 3/2 for 3 mana is awesome. Menace. Wow, that's really cool. It's gonna be super hard to block so early on in the game. That's great. And at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library. Any opponent may have you put that card into your graveyard. If a player does, it deals this card deals damage to that player equal to that card's converted mana cost. Otherwise, put that card into your hand. So you just get a card every single turn, or they have to take damage. But of course, if you draw a land that has no converted mana cost, they're just going to put that into your graveyard. They take no damage, but still, a lot of your cards are going to be either doing damage to your opponent, or you're going to be putting that into your hand. You're going to have card advantage. How great is that?
Yeah, I really like this one. I think it should have more subtypes.
It should have more subtypes. This one should have 8 to 9 subtypes, because this is so awesome. Sin Prodder pushes me into wanting to play red, actually, when I put this one. So that is definitely a tier 1 card.
So next one, Gaia Reach Bandit. 2 and a red. It's a human rogue werewolf. It's a 3/2 with haste. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast this turn, transform it. And then it transforms into Filden Pack Alpha. It's a 4/3 werewolf, and whenever a werewolf enters the battlefield on your control, you may transform it immediately.
Cool.
So everything just enters the battlefield transformed, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And of course, at the beginning of each upkeep, if there were 2 or more spells cast by a player, then you transform it back.
Yeah, basically the same werewolf mechanic
exactly.
that they all have. But for 3 mana, having a 3/2 with haste, that's already golden right there. That's going to do lots of work. The rest is just gravy. If you manage to get the 4/3, that's also cool. But just already it's basic. That's already really good. If you're in red green and you manage to find a way to go werewolf tribal, then that's tier 1. But even if you don't, there's definitely tier 2. You auto include it in red.
Yeah, and red has a lot of werewolves anyway. So
not even that hard to even if you're with red in another color to still use it anyway. Then we have great card, Flame Blade Angel for 6 mana. We get a 4/4 flyer. We know, of course, 4/4 flyers are some of the biggest stuff in the air, so that's going to be doing a lot of damage. And it states that whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to you or a permanent you control, you may have this guy deal 1 damage to that source's controller. So you're going to punish them for dealing damage to you or attacking you, or even when you block. And that is going to actually add up quite a bit, especially if they have a lot of smaller creatures. I like it. It's tier 1. I like it a lot. Otherwise, I wouldn't put it in tier 1. And if I draw it, I want to play the Angel, because it's one of these evil Avacyn Angels that have turned or have gone berserk or whatever. It should be an Angel Berserker. It should have been, to reflect also how good it is. Tier 1, definitely included.
So the next one, Devil's Playground. You always just save the best for me, don't you?
I do, absolutely.
So for 4 and 2 red, sorcery, you put 4 1/1 red devil creatures tokens on the battlefield. They have, if it dies, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. It's a 6 mana, which puts 4 1/1s on the table. I don't really like this because it doesn't do that much. those things block and...
Yeah, but not only does it not do very much, this is even a sorcery compared to the other one, which was an instant.
Yeah.
And you could actually still use the instant as a combat trick and surprise people do 4 points of damage to a creature. This is gonna do nothing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It could have a filler role, but I'm thinking put it aside. I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm kind of edging with you. I mean, if you really need something, sure. It's still 4 1/1s that do stuff when they die.
Yeah, so it's a tier 3, maybe put it aside if you have anything else that's decent. Anyway, those are the rares. Let's have a look at the mythics. Our first mythic is Gold Knight Castigator. For 4 mana, of which 2 red, we get a 4/9 angel with flying and haste. Okay, at this point you're thinking, oh my god, this thing is insane. But wait, there's more. If a source would deal damage to you, it deals double that damage to you instead. Huh? Shouldn't that be the other way around? That when you deal damage, your opponent deals double that damage? No, this is when they deal damage to you. So the Castigator basically is trying to punish you for some reason. Then, if a source would deal damage to Gold Knight Castigator, it deals double that damage to Gold Knight Castigator instead. So it also wants to punish itself. So it's a masochist, and it's also a sadomasochist, and it's a torturer, and it's still pretty good, even with all those bad things, because it's still a 4/9 with haste. It's gonna be able to do lots of damage. And flying. That's true. I just think it's not an auto include for me. The reason why is because I think if you don't have the board presence, this thing could hurt you more than it helps you. I would put it in as a tier 2 though. If you're in red, you can definitely try and make this work, but try and build around this card, because if you don't, this is just another way for your opponent. This is going to be your opponent's win condition to beat you, and you don't want that.
Play it when you want a fast game of Magic.
Yeah, very fast. Either you win really fast or you lose really fast, but just you want a fast game. Gold Knight Castigator will make you suffer for that.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's a tier 2.
Yeah.
Tier 2 because it does win you the game if you don't die to it.
So the next one, Wolf of Devil's Breach. It's 3 and 2 red. It's a elemental wolf. It's a 5/5, so that's already good. And whenever Wolf of Devil's Breach attacks, you may pay 1 on a red and discard a card. If you do, it deals damage equal to target to the convert mana cost to target creature or planeswalker. So it attacks.
It's not that good, right? This one.
No,
I always give you the bad cards.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, this is not that great.
So you discard stuff which you don't want, but you know it deals damage. So I think I will put it in tier 1.
Yeah, and
just to spite you.
And you can of course, use the madness to still play cards anyway. So
exactly.
That is pretty awesome. I mean, a 5/5 for 5. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's craziness. I would much rather have this wolf than the angel we just talked about. All in all, draw this one. Then you're definitely going in red. And yeah, you play it and you're happy when you can use it, because your opponents are definitely going to lose probably 2 things. One thing when it attacks, and another thing when they try and block this thing.
Exactly, this is just really insane because it has removal built in.
Awesome, so powerful. Tier 1, love to see it, awesome. Those are the mythics. Let's have a look at the conclusion. So Stefan, what do you think about red?
I really like red. It has a lot of tier 2 cards, and I really like the removal because I was actually struggling with it, but red has a lot of scalable removal, so I really like that.
I agree, actually. I'm also very impressed by the uncommon cards. It's got a lot of good, strong, solid uncommon cards I'm very happy to play with. And I'm also very impressed with the amount of werewolves that red has. They're very strong, and I think if you go red-green werewolves or even red-white with some tokens, I think you can be very happy and be able to build quite a solid deck. I'm impressed by red. I'm not usually impressed by red, so that's high praise for me in either case. Take it for whatever that means. You have anything else to add about red?
Not really. I always like red.
Well, there you go. Now we're going to ask you to also do something that's very red, and that is press that red subscribe button, because it allows us to make more videos. It lets us know that we're doing a good job, and it helps to spread the word. If you want to get in touch with us a little more on a little more personal level, then just join us on Facebook and Twitter. You can just tweet at us or send us messages that way, and we can just have conversations and talk about the cards. I guess that is it, except for after the jump. Stay tuned because there are going to be more videos. There are going to be the other colors, so green and multicolored, and of course you can see the other colors we've already talked about, so white, blue, and black. So make sure to check those out as well. That's it. Thanks for watching. I'm David.
I'm Stefan.
And this was Budget MTG Decks.